Thought you was halfway to Florida by now.
No, Mr. Munsey and Miss Hendricks left without me. I had to stay on an extra day, wind up the sale of that Rembrandt.
Congratulations, Mr. Prentiss. Is it true we sold it for $250,000?
Yes, of course.
Now we got this big deal cooking down in Florida.
That's right. We're going to catalog one of the world's major and most controversial art collections. Well, take good care of the House of Prentiss.
Sure thing. And you get plenty of that Florida sunshine.
Good evening, Mr. Prentiss. I've been waiting for you.
What are you doing here, sir? The gallery's closed.
I have a business proposal to make.
I'm sorry, I can't talk to you now. May I show you out?
Proposal concerning the left fist of David.
What about it?
So you are interested. Mr. Prentiss, the executors of the Van der Locken estate have commissioned you to undertake a catalog of the estate's art collection.
Yes, but what about the left fist of David?
I believe it's included in that collection.
In the long history of the House of Prentiss, there are many legends like the left fist of David.
No legend, Mr. Prentiss. It does exist, according to the records of the church in Mexico from which it was stolen.
Yes, I know all about that. The Mexican church was burned and looted over 200 years ago. Supposedly a valuable object called the left fist of David disappeared. But the records only refer to it as the fist. They don't describe it and they don't say what it is.
It does exist. And it's immensely valuable.
But you don't know what it is.
I know that whatever it is, it exists among the uncatalogued items in the Van der Locken collection. And now that the last member of that family is dead...
Are you a collector, Mr.
Hager? Ivor Hager. Mr. Prentiss, when you catalog a collection, you list every item, the trash as well as the treasures.
Yes, every item is listed, appraised, and then it becomes a matter of public record.
Then should you overlook an item, one might say that it had no existence until it was found by somebody later on. Am I right?
May I show you out?
Mr. Prentiss, I have alerted you to the existence of a treasure. You might very well find that treasure. Therefore, I think we should come to a partnership understanding.
May I see that?
Always the collector. Interesting, eh? Observe the snakeskin inlay. You understand the meaning of that?
I imagine it indicates the presence of a fang. Mr. Hager, in my business I meet all kinds of people. And this isn't the first time I've been asked to be a thief. But let me assure you, there are no thieves in the House of Prentiss.
And you read the inscription?
I make a door for death. Good night, Mr. Hager.
Good night, partner.
Quite a place.
Yes.
I had a good first look at the whole estate. The value is unquestionable. The taste is,
Questionable.
they might be very profitable to handle and may be very interesting.
Mr. Munsey, didn't you once tell me that you knew a man in Amsterdam, a man named Hager?
Ivor Hager. Yes. He was a thief, a very dangerous man. What about him?
He, came to see me at the gallery.
About me?
No. He doesn't even know you're my associate. Do you know about the left fist of David?
You mean the old legend?
Yes, Mr. Hager wants me to believe that the fist is somewhere here in the Van der Locken collection.
Oh. Well, I've known Hager for a long time. He has a sort of
You mean you think it could be here?
If Hager said it's here, it's here.
Enjoying the estate, Mr. Prentiss?
Yes, very much.
I was just telling your secretary. This terrace was originally designed for the Emperor Tiberius.
For his villa at Capri. The second Mr. Van der Locken had it brought here.
Stone by stone.
I understand that the estate has been closed to sightseers.
Yes, immediately after the funeral. The only ones left are an overworked maintenance man, a cook, several guards, and myself as curator of the art collection.
Well, where shall we begin?
In the cellars, I imagine. There's an outside entrance, a tunnel near the pool. I can show you some interesting specimens of Greek and Roman sculpture. Splendid, Mr. Hager. You're very good at that.
An excellent weapon. Strong. Very accurate.
And silent. That's very important, too, isn't it?
And deadly, that's important, too.
Most important of all.
Miss Hendricks, Mr. Prentiss, and Mr. Munsey. Mr. Hager is our nearest neighbor. He has a passion for antique weapons.
Mr. Hager and I have met before. In fact, he even suggested that I misappropriate a certain item from the Van der Locken collection.
Oh?
Yes, the left fist of David. Your good neighbor says that it's here and proposed that we steal it.
Mr. Prentiss, I believe you're being serious.
You should have seen the expression on his face. Such anger, Mr. Munsey, was it? The name was Munsey. Did we meet a long time ago, Mr. Munsey?
You know that we met. I wasn't afraid of you then, and
I'm sure that Mr. Munsey has met many kinds in his career.
Well, I'm glad to hear, Mr. Prentiss, as you've already told me, that there are no thieves in the House of Prentiss. And I think I should apologize for the little joke I played at the gallery. I realize now it was not nearly as funny as I thought it was. Are you on your way down to the cellars, I presume?
Mr. Prentiss hasn't seen the collection.
I'm sure Mr. Prentiss will find it a most rewarding experience.
Where do I board the first Tiger for home?
the next time...
Now I will not hear any more against Mr. Hager. He rented the Briscoe house last summer. He was a wonderful neighbor.
I'm sure of it.
In fact, somewhat of a companion. He had the run of the house. I trusted him absolutely.
Have you counted your silver lately?
Mr. Munsey.
Well, perhaps you should. What about the left fist of David?
Mr. Prentiss, you know that's really no more than a folk tale, a fable.
Well, then you don't believe it's here.
I'll wait until something turns up that tells us what the left fist of David is.
Well, it could be anything. Could be a jewel, a painting, a statue.
Or the actual hand of King David.
Really, gentlemen?
Well, why not, Dr. Peasley? Any small museum can show you an Egyptian mummy over 5,000 years old.
Why not the hand of King David?
I doubt that you'll find it here. This way, please. After the whole house was reassembled here, all this began to arrive.
Looks like a pickpocket's nightmare.
There are 3 cellars beyond this, all just as full.
The Van der Lockens must have collected art by the yard.
He did make some lucky buys. Not this one.
By the way, Mr. Prentiss, I suppose you'll allow me to help.
See, Dr. Peasley, I don't think we dare try it without you.
No.
Thank you. This is Hannibal, my favorite Mauser. We need him down here. You're not afraid of mice, I hope.
I hope there's nothing larger.
Well, where can we work?
There's a table here.
Ooh, look at the size of that chandelier.
That's a monstrosity.
And always in the way. The Van der Lockens had it for generations. They never could discard it.
How do you discard that much iron?
Well, it's a good place to work. Jan, go get one of the guards to help us move it.
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful monstrosity.
Go.
Catalog number 456. Jeweled rhinestone type seal. Worth about the matter?
No, it's cellar.
About $150.
Well, has anyone found the left fist of David?
We might, Dr. Peasley. Anything is possible here.
Even so far-fetched a thing as the left fist of David? Perhaps even the hand of King David?
Number 457.
Now, here is a sculpture. Donatello.
A Donatello.
Beautiful, huh?
Yes, if it's genuine, we've made a very important
What do
discovery.
you mean, if it's genuine?
Considering that Donatello never worked in this kind of marble,
Well, that's a small detail. You have to admit it's a work of a genius.
yes, a genius who would have spent half his life in prison if I hadn't persuaded him to reform.
Look!
Peasley. Peasley! What is that? What did you just put in that glass?
Mr. Prentiss, you just made me lose count.
You count the drops? So many drops for one murder and so many for three? How many did you put in our coffee cream?
None.
You're a liar. You never expected to see us alive again, but Hannibal cheated you, didn't he? Hannibal got to it first. You poisoned the cream in our coffee and killed the cat. And now you're going to tell me why, Dr. Peasley. Now you're going to tell me why.
Mr. Prentiss, I should hate to think my little practical joke at the gallery had made you so suspicious, so easily upset. Now, will you release my friend, or must I call one of the guards?
Look, I'm in charge of this collection, and I don't want anyone to have the run of this house.
I invited him to lunch. But to be perfectly candid about it, Mr. Prentiss, I'd rather have him here than...
Mr. Prentiss, I think you're a highly emotional fellow. How do you know that Hannibal the cat didn't pick up some poison earlier in the day and then just happened to die after drinking that cream?
Was he here when you filled that cream pitcher?
Mr. Prentiss, I only hope the trustees won't realize too late that as curator for 3 years, I'm amply qualified to catalog the collection alone.
Dr. Peasley, I think I'm beginning to understand. Mr. Prentiss is the typical collector, so intent upon acquiring a certain object that all normal matters seem disproportionate to him.
But to carry on so over a delusion about the left fist of David...
I was afraid we might take it from him. The glory of discovery, if not the fist itself.
It doesn't exist, Captain.
Prentiss thinks it does, just as he thinks that I'm a professional thief, and that you're so disgruntled about being passed over by the trustees that you're capable of murder. He hasn't yet accused us of being accomplices, but that idea may occur to him soon.
Believe me, it already has.
And may I suggest, Mr. Prentiss, that your own actions are somewhat peculiar? If there's a poisoner among us, attacking Dr. Peasley in a fit of temper will prove nothing. Why don't you call the police?
No, you can't do that. We never have outsiders here. When there's trouble, we settle it ourselves. It's Locken policy. No police, no outsiders.
This time you don't have much of a choice, do you? And I'm sure Mr. Hager won't mind handing over that tumbler and its contents.
A toast, Mr. Prentiss. The left fist of David.
My daily vitamins. Hardly harmful, Mr. Prentiss. Vitamins?
That still doesn't explain what happened to that cat.
Ah, yes, the cat. It was a cat that set you off, wasn't it? I suggest you call the police to investigate the death of the cat. Perhaps we should have an autopsy, eh? Ah.
Must have been a sleeping drug.
I'd invite you to join us. I assure you there's nothing lethal in this stew. It just isn't enough. Unlike the left fist of David, which I understand should be sufficient for many.
Let's get back to our work.
Prentiss, one moment. Well, there's a question we might do well to consider. If Hannibal really was drugged, why a drug instead of a poison? On the face of it, that would seem to be a fairly pointless action.
Unless somebody knows you like I do. This is kind of a subtle hint. Reminder that next time it's the real thing.
Partner, it's a comfort for me to know that you do understand.
That's all right. It's all right. I don't like him either. If we could only catch these two characters in the act of stealing, then we would get rid of them. You see, there is a possibility, let's face it, that there is no such thing as a left fist of David. Suppose we go through the last Adam and he doesn't turn up.
Hager would never believe it.
That's it, he wouldn't. He would think that we took it, and then you would see a maniac. I tell you, a homicidal maniac.
Then let's find it, Mr. Munsey. Let's find it immediately.
Yes, immediately.
Well, why not? That would solve the entire situation.
Oh, I know what you're thinking. As soon as we find it...
Those two would carry it off, and then we'd have caught them in the act, and then we'd have something for the police.
Mr. Prentiss, how can we find something if we can't even describe it?
Mr. Munsey, the House of Prentiss is singularly fortunate. It employs a man who is not only a remarkable antiquarian, but who could have been a very great painter had he chosen that path. Even perhaps, Mr. Munsey, a master sculptor?
Thanks.
You're welcome. Now, look. No one has seen the left fist of David. No one can describe it.
No.
We agree that it might be anything at all.
Anything at all.
So?
Oh, you. Very careful, Dr. Peasley. You know the saying, one man's treasure is another man's junk.
This is just junk. The hand of King David.
Why, Dr. Beasley, you're trembling.
You better sit down.
Sit. I want to run deep in the air, dance as he did. I can't. My legs are shaking. Do you think this is actually the hand that held the harp of David?
Well, I'm hardly prepared to say.
You know yourself one has to make necessary tests.
Of course, that was foolish of me. Probably isn't his hand at all. Why, that would be the greatest find in all history, wouldn't it?
And the most valuable.
We should take steps to protect it.
Of course.
Oh, no, now, Dr. Beasley, now.
You're right. I'll call the lawyers for the estate. I'll have them arrange for a vault. I'll have them send guards we can depend on.
No, Dr. Beasley, I think it would be much safer down here with us, don't you?
Yes, I don't know what I'm doing. By all means, you watch it. I'll run to the telephone.
The telephone is down.
You know, for a moment, I thought his tears were real. I almost liked him.
Well, it won't take Hager 10 minutes to get here. Let him take the fist. Let him try to steal it. An open attempt at theft.
Jan, you better get upstairs and stay there.
Oh, no.
Now, no argument, Jan, please.
All right, Mr. Prentiss. You know, I wish those tears had been real.
Don't turn around. Back away from the table. Get away! So, finally.
Yes, according to your confederate.
Peasley, that rabbit. He was just trying to do a neighbor a good turn.
Well, forgive our mistake, please. You always seem to have so many partners.
I always said your humor, Munsey, would be the death of me. Or of you, Munsey. Such a worthless object to be worth so much. A dead man's hand. A few old bones, such as one might find in 1,000 potter's fields. The man were to build a shrine for this. The sick, the lame, and the blind would come and be healed by it. Has the stuff of miracles in it.
Yeah, miracles for cash, huh?
Why don't you take it and go? Just go.
But one thing disturbs me. None of you seems to care if I do go. Now, why don't you care?
Munsey, you did this.
Gold. The whole chandelier is gold.
Of black lacquer.
You know,
And the fist was encased in some sort of pot metal.
Hager must have touched it a dozen times while he was prowling around down here.
You know, the saddest thing of all, suppose he would have known a secret. How could he carry that much gold away? That's sad.
By the way, where did the Vanderlockens get it in the first place?
Probably the black market in Art.
Over a ton of gold. Let's see, at the current rate of exchange, that's...
1,360,000.
Who gets it?
Well, that's up to the court.
Chances are it'll be sent back to the Mexican government.
From our point of view, we've restored a great treasure to the world of art. And we're satisfied, aren't we, Mr. Munsey?
Well, and now we can get rid of this monstrosity.
Wait a minute. That's a very great collector's item. For your own personal collection.
What value has it? There's only one Sister David.
Yes. And what a one.